after I had my son, my parents were very happy with me because I'd grown up as a good girl, and then set happened. I left my auntie's office. I was starting life again because I'd made some mistakes. And I went through this process where I sold bread on my head, went to the streets, I sold bread, I was homeless for a bit. So this is not
after you had your son.
After I had my son. I started a company on social media without buying one drone and getting paid. I might not be talented, but I knew how to sell. To market business plan, you have to do a lot of work and a lot of talking. I had met this lady, Blossom Nnamdi, and one day she announced that she was going to tweet business tweets for people who had businesses that they wanted to push out there. So she picked me, and she did that. She did a single tweet. I ended up getting 5 clients that I was writing business plans for at 80K. I got home and I said, let me even see what people will find online when they check my name. So I searched my name, Ized Uanikhehi, on Google, and it was the most depressing thing ever. In the beginning, it was very hard. But then I remember that I've been through this before, and this is just phase 2. And these people know how to ignore you. You just see them talking and you just go, hey, they can just all turn around. And community is like, why would you?
Are you serious?
How would you come to our middle and time with me? Who wants to know you with your black face?
Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show. So for the longest time, I've been getting DMs from the female followers, and they're saying in the last few episodes you've not interviewed a female entrepreneur. They're all male entrepreneurs. I'm like, just take the lesson first of all. But good thing we have a female entrepreneur on the show today. Somebody very special, somebody very phenomenal. In the person of Ized Uanikhehi. Did I get the name correct?
Yes. We actually tried. Not exactly correctly, my surname, but tried better than most people. So yeah, Ized Uanikhehi.
So that's the okay.
Yeah.
Uanikhehi. I got it now.
Uanikhehi. That's it.
Uanikhehi.
Yes. It means that I'm rich in people. I'm wealthy in people. Yeah.
I just see Ized. I see Zebua. Help me.
Ized. My name is Ized. India Zulu Echo Delta. Ized is my name.
What does it mean?
It means owner or somebody that it's on its own, but as part of a longer name, Izebua, it means I have a body of wealth. I own a body of wealth. Ize is I have, Igbe is body, Ua is wealth. I have a body of wealth. But Ized, because I'm from Imeora, so Ized's on its own, Izebua is on its own. My mom is Benin, and then my son is Uanikhehi.
Interesting. Thank you very much for helping me clarify that. Yeah. So let's dive right into it. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. I am ready.
Great. So let's start by hearing your story and what life was like growing up for you.
Oh, interesting. I am, not was, my siblings are very much alive by God's grace. I am the middle child, the second child, first daughter, but I was born in between 2 boys. And then there's that gap before my younger siblings came, but I was born in between 2 boys. So I was a tomboy growing up.
Wow.
Yes, I became very competitive because of that. My elder brother, OJ, he's very smart. He started reading early, started reading at the age of 3. I had a slow catch up, so I didn't quite like the comparison. So when I started reading, I became very competitive. I would try to be better than my brother. On top of that, beat him at games. So I'm competitive sports-wise, and I was no longer. I was competitive sports-wise, running-wise, making cars out of wood and rubber tires and rubber slippers and all of that. I was competitive games-wise, Ludo, chess, checkers, because of my brothers, and I was competitive school-wise. So I grew up trying to get some attention, being the middle child of 2 boys. And I grew up trying to get some attention from my folks and from my family. So I was very competitive growing up. So growing up was fun. My dad, my mom, it wasn't a very hectic household. My dad was very strict, but I'm finding out as I get older that he wasn't more stricter than other parents. But then when you're growing up, you think your dad is the strictest dad in the planet. So my dad was very strict. He kept us on the straight and narrow. I was a homebody. I like to read a lot. I still do. The good thing is I like to read anything, so I could do anything. I'm not very picky with the type of books that I read, from romance to crime to thrillers. I read everything, and so growing up was pretty cool. In retrospect, when I was growing up, I would complain that
You didn't feel that way.
they didn't allow us go out. They didn't allow us do this. But I think when you look back at it, you see it's good old days. And my parents were very protective. I went to private schools, not the rich private schools, but they did well. And I finished secondary school. There was a case where I had an expulsion from secondary school, one of my secondary schools. It wasn't anything bad. um, but I finished secondary school. It wasn't anything, it was bad, but it wasn't anything weird. I went to a Catholic school. We were not allowed to bring provisions to school, and yeah, so it wasn't. People always find it weird. Did they expel you for that? I said, no, find out. So I finished secondary school and I went to university. I was trying to study medicine because then I used to dream of becoming a neurosurgeon. I used to write about it a lot. That I'll become a brain surgeon. I will, study medicine. But I didn't get admission to study medicine. I did. My jam was very good, but I didn't pass one of my science courses. I passed it with a P7, I think. So I did, that was physics. I had my biology and my chemistry. So I went on to study biochemistry with the thought that, by my year two, I will pass physics. I'll go and write WAEC, I'll pass physics, I'll switch to medicine. But that didn't happen. So I went to university and studied biochemistry. Graduated, and the plan was to go back to study medicine. But I think I'd lost interest by then because when I was in school, I started to sell to make additional money. So my dad used to give us a limited budget per month. It was never enough. Never enough. So what I used to do before going to school is I would take my limited budget. I would go to because we used to live in Benin. I would go to
Okay.
thrift market in Benin. I'll buy second-hand clothes. I'll wash it, iron it, pack it plenty. I used to also make zobo, so I'll buy zobo leaves. I will go to school. I will sell my second-hand clothes higher. So if I bought something, sell it times two or times three. People would not pay at once, but they'll pay over time. So I always had money or people owing me. There was always money.
Yeah.
And then I learned one key thing in secondary school. I learned that I might not be talented because I didn't know how to play hair. I didn't know how to do music. I didn't know how to design or draw. Those were my brothers. But I knew how to sell. So I would meet somebody who knows how to design. Then I would look for somebody who wanted designs. And then I'll make what's in the middle. So my talent was being a middleman person. And I soon found that was an interesting connect because the middleman person doesn't really do any work but gets paid. So if you say I do designs and I charge 2,000, I sell the designs for 3,000, I make 1,000 naira on top. You're the one who's doing the design, you're the one who's paying for the design. Me that I just connected the two of you and making 1,000 naira on top. So sales and marketing soon became my thing out of necessity. It was just natural. Yes. I would quickly spot opportunity in certain things. So I would see, I had a friend who used to make very nice moi moi every Saturday. Every Saturday, I used to go to her house because of the moi moi. Then one day I asked her, why do you sell this thing for other people? This moi moi, you know how to make it very well. It was so soft, fluffy, and nice. So I started telling people about the Saturday moi moi. And so she would make in bulk. I would take it to the people who had ordered and I would sell it to them and pay her money and get my commission on top and I would also get free moi moi. So it was sales and marketing soon became my thing out of necessity, where I was living big girl life from limited budgets because I could expand my whatever I had because I was selling and I was marketing. And so when I was done with school, all my plans about going back to study medicine and becoming a neurosurgeon sort of just felt like too much of a burden. Like, will I go back to school for another how many years now when I can make money now? And I tried briefly, but it didn't work, or it didn't work
Yeah.
on time. By the time it did work, I was already out.
You're done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So would you say like you're a born entrepreneur, or would you say like entrepreneurship is something you had to learn along the way? I mean, for many that grew up in West
I,
Africa, Nigeria.
I think that hunger or life just teaches you how to become an entrepreneur. I don't think that I was born with it, because I was more of a book person. I'm more of
Yeah,
a if I didn't need if I didn't need to look for additional money, I probably would
yeah.
be a doctor by now. If I didn't need, if my father had enough money and my budget was plenty, I won't feel the need to sell things or market things and then become an entrepreneur. I think I would have just stayed in that cocoon of, oh, everything is sufficient, I have enough money. So I think that necessity sort of teaches you entrepreneurship.
So now I was going to ask what was the like first business you started, but you already mentioned it along the line,
Yes,
which was
I think, but those were
selling
selling
food
for
first.
people. Yeah, I think NYC was where I really hit it big. I had a when I started doing my NYC, I was
Yeah,
sent to a school in Onitsha. The school had lessons after school hours that they were paying teachers. I think an additional 3,000 or 4,000 naira for. So it was too small. I wasn't interested. But a lot of teachers were doing it because of the additional pay. So what I did was I got my first salary. I went to Lagos. Then it was Pentium One computers. I bought three Pentium One computers. I rented a space and I started teaching people how to use computers. How to do Microsoft Word, Microsoft
yeah.
um,
PowerPoint.
Point, all of that. And
Yeah.
my training school started to get full, and I was charging 15,000 naira per one person. But over the course of
Wow.
3 months, they had
Mm-hmm.
short time courses. You could pick and learn one short time course. You could pick and learn the 3 months course. People would pay for the 3 months course, and I would teach them. I had then people used to still go and make phone calls. So I had a call center. So it was
Oh wow.
yes, it wasn't a business center where you could come and browse. My school didn't have internet for browsing. I used to set up internet only if I needed to teach my students certain things that they needed to access the internet for. But
Yeah.
people would come, make calls, pay me, or they would come and learn how to use the computer. And so that was my real first business, where it had a name and it had a location. And
What was the name? Do you remember?
I called it This Is It. Here's why. My father had a computer school in Benin called Data Info Solutions, DIS, and Integrated Services. So this is so when I did mine in Onitsha, I just called DIS. It's this Data Info Solutions and Integrated Services. It was a corny. I mean, I should have
Nice.
talked better about.
There's a very going somewhere. This is it.
That's where I learned from my father's school in Benin. So I just
Mm-hmm.
replicated it in Onitsha. And Pentium 1 computers then, because then people are started going to Pentium 3, Pentium
Yeah.
1 computers then was cheap. It wasn't as expensive. So I bought like three and I would schedule people in different classes. So this one class is finishing, I'm teaching the other one. And if you have about 8 students who are paying 15, it's a lot more than doing lessons
Private lesson
and
and stuff.
getting paid
Yeah.
4,000. Plus, then people used to make a lot of phone calls.
That was
Yes,
genius.
per minute. We used to charge for calls per minute then, and so those I was living very okay as a yeah,
If you look back, do you remember like how much the business made you?
not sure, but it made me a lot of money. I wasn't a poor copper at all. I wasn't a poor copper at all.
You were balling.
I didn't like furniture, but I wasn't a poor at all. The good part was Onitsha was like an hour
Yeah.
30 minutes away from Benin. So I used to try to do as much free time as I could in Benin. Yeah.
I see. So what inspired you basically to transition from biochemistry and all of that to business, marketing, and all of
I have no idea. I think it was. I think it was. I was
that?
always,
No, it's a huge motivation.
yeah, I was always so sure that I was going to be this biochemist that, because I wanted to be a neurosurgeon and I wanted to be
Hmm.
a doctor. That didn't work. So I thought, I'll settle for second best and be this biochemistry that will come up with drugs and medicine and things that will save lives. And it's sort of just, from school to NYC. And when you started making some money somehow, it's hard to go back to the lab. I did work in a chemical pathology lab briefly in the University of Benin. I worked in chemical pathology
Okay.
lab for maybe about 6 months. I just knew it wasn't for me, to be pressing pipettes and testing blood and testing all of that when I could be
Yeah.
making more money. So it wasn't a planned transition. It was, oh, I'm just going to do this for a while, then I'll go back to doing biochemistry, or I'll go back to go and learn my medicine, and then it just became a thing.
Interesting. So after you finished NYSC, you left this business. What happened next?
I went to Abuja. I went to Abuja for two reasons. Um, I had sort of long distance between me and my boyfriend at the time. My parents didn't know about it. And we had planned that, he would work his NYC, because I did my NYC the year before him. He would work in NYC to
Yeah.
Abuja. I would come after NYC to Abuja, my auntie's house, and we would sort of now be in the same location instead of being distant.
So it's easier to say. Yeah.
And so that happened. So as soon as I finished NYC, I didn't even go back home. I knew if I went back home, that discussion was going to be very complicated. So I didn't go back home. I just packed my things, entered the bus to Abuja, showed up at my auntie's doorstep. She was gracious. She took me in. Not before having the talk that I would, this was just a holiday and I would go back to Benin. Oh, yeah.
So what happened in Abuja?
A lot. First off, my auntie had this big shop where she was selling Okene clothes, this hand woven Okene clothes, and I was
Yeah.
manning her shop for her. She was paying me at the end of the month, but when your hand has touched money small, it's hard to just cool down and be taking money at the end of every month. Then these intracellular phones came into Abuja and became a big hit. I think they call it GGSM. It's mobile phones, but cheaper. I remember I think it was called GGSM. Not they were using a different kind of network, but it was mobile phones. And
Oh, okay.
yes, and they were launching. So this company was launching in Abuja, and then one day we're driving past them, and they had come to try to sell a phone to us at the shop. So one day I decided, okay, let me go and tell them that I can help them sell their phones. So I went there and I told them that I can sell your phones for you in bulk and in large quantities. You give me a cheaper amount, I'll add an amount. They said, yes, we'll do it commission. So they gave me samples. After back and forth, I think they decided to take the risk with me. Um, and then they gave me samples. Initially, I went back to the market and tried to sell them one. It was slow. Then I'm not very comfortable with selling in small package. I like to sell in bulk. So I started asking myself, who will be the people that will buy in bulk? Then I started thinking of cooperatives and communities and societies. So I went to like a cooperative in the market where they had access to every member or everybody that had a store, and I cut a deal with them and I sold it. I told them that they could buy. I cut a deal with the intracellular people, cut a deal with them, and told them that they could pay later or pay over the course of 3 months or pay since we were giving the phones to the cooperative, not to the people directly. And I sold a lot of phones in bulk, a lot. And I'm saying, I think we went thousands of phones.
Wow.
So yeah, my commission was high. There was no way I was ever going to go back to my auntie's shop, and she wasn't very happy about that because she was giving me some sort of I want to say she was giving me some payment. It wasn't a salary per se, it was just my auntie. So she was giving me some payment on a monthly basis. But I sold these phones in bulk. I was making money, but where I first made my first million was Foursquare. They had land that they bought in Katape in Abuja, and they were selling in. I think they bought the land in bulk. They were selling in plots, and so I
Yeah.
spoke to somebody that had met through this intracellular deal, and took him to the Foursquare office, and he was able to buy 10 plots, and I added. I think he bought like 12 plots. I added 150 or 150 per plot. So I just made at once. The money hit me. I was like, Jesus. So that was when
Is this how a
I
million
saw,
feels?
you know, when you see that there's 6 zeros in your account, you're like, oh, I'm never going back to selling the shop. I'm never going back. And so I think that's when I actually truly embraced my role as a middleman. I used to say that I'm a sales person
Hmm.
or I'm a marketing person. And that's when I just truly embraced my role as a middleman. So the thing is that the thing about marketing and sales is like it's water for businesses. Every business must do. Every business must market or must sell. It's one of the if you're doing marketing and sales, you would almost always find a business who needs to sell more or who needs to market more. It's
Yeah.
your potential clients are endless because anybody who owns a business
Mhm.
is thinking about how do I sell more. And so if you're good at it, there's always a there's always a lot of clients or target audience for you to explore. Whether you're starting out small or you're targeting a middle, not so big, not so small enterprise, or you're looking at large enterprises. So I started looking for key things that I could sell, key people that I could work with and help sell on commissions. And it was this my same auntie that I used to work at her shop. She had an office, a big office in Wuse too, and she wasn't using it anymore. She had set up the office to start an NGO, and she wasn't using it anymore. And she said I could have it for a while, and it was so cool. And so initially thought she was angry with me. She was like, "Oh, she's not using the place." I talked to her about it. She was like, "I can have it." So it was a big office already furnished, and so that's what we set up our first sales office, where I hired a lot of people. We would go to talk to companies, tell them we could sell for them, and then it was easier to get these people to trust us because we're selling on commission. They were not paying us ahead, so we just thought, "Oh, you're selling phones. We'll sell your phones for you." Well, we started to target more corporate type businesses where some of them needed to send proposal letters. It's not like how they do it now, but then people were still very fiscal. So they will need to send proposal letters to like 50 organizations and set up meetings with these people, and we'll go and do all of those B2B sales for them. I think in the course of doing B2B sales, I then discovered that people were buying and selling contracts. I don't know how much I can say on this. Yeah, but yeah, I made quite some money in Abuja doing sales. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I think I sold diesel, I sold kerosene, not in the
Hmm.
4 liter, not in the jerry can. I sold
Yes, like bulk
diesel
to.
allocation from. I had the paper where
Hmm.
somebody who has gotten a diesel
Hmm.
allocation or a kerosene allocation or a fuel allocation, PMS
Yeah.
allocation from Kaduna refinery, they will have the allocation paper. They will know the price they were going to get it. They will mark up the price. I would mark up the price, sell it, get my markup, and give it. It was see being a middleman is and was sweet. You didn't have any of the. It was just easy. It was just easy, especially if you know how to
I'm,
talk people in.
I'm going to throw a question now.
Yeah.
So the next question I'm going to ask actually is about like how you study digital marketing. But just before that, still on this middleman thing, what's your perspective or your opinion on affiliate marketing? I mean, if you're on Twitter NG, from time to time, you see like tech Twitter dragging affiliate marketing Twitter. I just like that
I'm not a
sometimes.
fan
But
of how
what do you think about affiliate
I'm not
marketing?
a fan of how it is run. Most of the people doing affiliate marketing, the things they sell the most is courses on how to be an affiliate marketer. Not
Hmm.
they don't. So the thing about affiliate marketing is it's kind of like what I was saying, sales, right? You pick
Yeah.
a company that is producing something or that had something, and sell for them and make a commission on every sale, right? And the good thing about affiliate marketing is you can pick high ticket items. High ticket items are the ones when you sell, you make more money from more
Yeah.
commissions from every sale, which is which is great in theory. But I think
Yeah.
that the way it is being run mostly in Nigeria is the affiliate marketers are not actually selling, or they are maybe, I don't know. Most of them are not actually selling these high ticket items on commission. Most of them are selling courses for people to come and learn how to be affiliate marketers and sell. There's no proof of concept. Everybody is selling the knowledge as opposed to selling the items of these brands or these other people and making money from it. When you talk to a lot of people who have been through affiliate marketing, or who have learned, or who studied affiliate marketing from these people, they're saying, "Oh, they told me that I should go on this site and I will pick these high ticket items and I will sell it on my status or on my page and I will make this commission on every
Mhm.
item,
Mhm.
and it's not working out for me." So I'm mostly with tech Twitter when they are going at affiliate marketers, because they are literally just selling courses. But in the times when I've needed to raise money or do something on the side, affiliate marketing
Yeah.
has been my thing. It's just that I wasn't using any of the affiliate marketing side. I would reach out directly to the companies and say, "Oh, this looks like something that I can sell. Let me do it for you on commission and sell it." And I think the way marketing is, that's sort of what we're doing now with other brands. I'm not a fan of the way affiliate marketing is being done in Nigeria, but maybe not the whole of Nigeria, but I'm not a fan of the way affiliate marketing.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a lot of people getting it right as well, selling other
There are a
stuff.
lot of people getting it right, um, but no, I'm on the fence with that one.
Exactly. So I'm on the middle side of both
Yeah,
divides,
I'm on the middle side of it.
right? But I know they follow for the fights.
So I know they,
I
but
get that.
I don't get power. I don't know
I get that there are people that just
customer.
literally selling courses and all of that. But it's good for the industry
It
anyway.
is good for the industry. The ones that sell properties, to be fair, okay, maybe they are doing it. I know a couple of people who are selling properties who are, but they didn't enter it as affiliate marketers, or that was not the term they gave it to themselves when they were entering. They were just, oh, they're going into property marketing or going to be resellers, which essentially is affiliate marketing.
So yeah, my question is, how did you start the whole digital marketing thing?
It was weird. I used to write business plans for people. Okay, so by then I'd had my son. I'd left my auntie's office. I was starting life again because I'd made some mistakes. I made some, but again, I always say childish mistakes and youthful exuberance mistakes are allowed. So I'd done that. I'd gone to Benin. I'd had my son. I'd come back to Abuja, and I was trying to start from scratch. I went back to the thing that's easy for me to do, sales and marketing. And I went through this process where I sold bread, or sold bread on my head, went to the streets, I sold bread, I was homeless for a bit. So this is not
After you had your son?
after I had my son.
Wow.
After I had my son, my parents were very happy with me because I had grown up as a good girl, and then this had happened.
Yeah.
I came back to Abuja. I couldn't go back to staying with my aunt because, so I sort of just had to look for my own place.
Yeah.
I needed to start from scratch again. And I was a single mom then, and being a single mom and taking your baby to go and look for work or to go and sell for people is not exactly the process. And I couldn't afford a crutch then. So I went through the process of getting bread and selling bread. That all happened. I survived all of this. And soon enough, I could afford crutch for my son. So another thing that I used to do was write business plans. When I was growing up, that was my daddy's. That's what he used to do. He used to write feasibility studies and business plans for businesses. That's how we were trained to school. But my dad used to write mostly by hand, and so he would give me the plans and the feasibility studies to type for him. So let me give a little bit of context. When we were growing up, my dad decided to train each of us in a different skill. My elder brother, he sent to the mechanic workshop to go and learn how to be a mechanic and repair um, um, mechanical parts. My immediate younger brother, he sent to intern with his friend who was an architect. So he was like I think they call them draftsman or whatever. He used to draw or write, but he was interning with my dad's friend. My younger sister, he sent to the tailoring, sent to the tailoring workshop. He sent her to learn tailoring from a tailor. And my youngest brother, who was the baby of the house, didn't go anywhere at the time. My cousin, who was staying with us, I think one person went to learn how to make hair or learn how to bake. Sorry, one person went to learn how to bake, the other person went to learn tailoring. I was supposed to go to the salon to learn how to do hair, but my dad, so I interned with my dad in quotes where I would um, type his feasibility studies and his business plans for him. And so that was secondary school holidays, the long term holidays where every child was playing
Wow,
and
nice.
having fun. My daddy was using us to learn mechanic and tailoring, and I would type his business plans for him. I would type his feasibility study for him, and you have to read these things to type it. So it became something that I would do, right? And where it's where I cut my teeth with business writing. And I would tell my dad, "Oh, you made a mistake here. This one's supposed to be." So I had to start researching with him before I
Yeah.
left Benin back to Abuja with my baby. One of the ways I raised money was I went to Benin University. I went to look for students that were writing their thesis, and I told them I'll write it for them. They paid me. I had money, and so I know how to do project writing, business plan writing. So that's context. So when I got to Abuja and I had now been able to afford to put my son in a crèche, I would go
Yeah.
to this microfinance bank. I think there was one called Fortis Microfinance Bank. I don't know whether it's still in existence or the name has changed now. Then business people who wanted loans would go to microfinance banks for loans. Those microfinance banks will send them to write business plans. So I would meet some managers inside the microfinance banks and tell them that I write business plans and give them my number and say if somebody wants to write a business plan, if you give them my number, I will give you a cut of whatever it is they pay, or you can price it with them and subcontract it to me. So they used to do that a lot. So they'll call me, I said, come and write this one. It was 40K sometimes, it was 80K sometimes, depending on what they got. So when they give me the business plan details, I'll first of all take my I think it was a diskette, and then and the diskette and the flash drive. I'll go to the cyber cafe. I'll research. I will download all my details in the flash drive. Then I had a computer at home. I will come to the house and then I'll start writing. Then in the evenings, I'll go and pick myself up from crèche. And so it became a thing where I started to write business plans for people to raise money. And so I started to come back sort of from because it had gotten really bad, and I gradually started to come back where I was then now making my own money before I was able to get back into work again. Now, there was Twitter then, there was Facebook. I had met this lady, Blossom Nomdim. She used to be popular then on Twitter. And one day she announced that she's going to tweet business tweets for people who had businesses that they wanted to push out there. So I said, that I write business plans. And please, can she tell people that I'll write business plans for them for 80K? Anybody who wants a business plan, I'll write for 80K. If she does put, so she picked me as one of the people that she will push their tweet. And she did that. She did a single tweet. Oh my God. She did a single tweet. And people were just hitting me up in the DMs. I ended up getting 5 clients that I was writing business plans for at 80K, 400,000. And it wasn't the business plan anymore. It was the, oh my God. To market business plan, you have to do a lot of work and a lot of talking. This lady did one post. She didn't even retweet it. She just did the post. And I got 5 clients from it. I got more than 5 clients, but the ones that paid me and were ready to start were 5. And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
paid almost at once. And I was intrigued. I was like, what manner of sorcery is this? I want to. And so I sort of started learning from her. I started, how do they call it, close marking her and learning what she's
Yeah.
doing, and then learning about digital media. And then she had this community that she then started. It was called Adopt a Tweet. Tweet then was, I think they used to call people that did Twitter a lot tweet.
Yes, yes, trips. Yeah.
Yes, and so she called the Adopt a Tweet where they will meet up and talk about Twitter and how to write and how to. And I was just intrigued and I was learning and soaking up everything. I will use Google to learn. It wasn't. I think by the time she did that tweet, I was beaten by the social media blog, because do you know how hard and how complicated it is to do a single sale offline without
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
transport fare, you are spending calls, you are meeting people 10 times, you are talking to them, you are calling them, you are sending them proposals. This woman did one tweet, and in 24 hours I had 5 clients, and I didn't want to do anything else with my life. It had to be digital. And so that's how I got into digital marketing. I would read, I would learn. I didn't have any formal course except those online community meetups where everyone will share, this is what I know, this is what I know. And then I would use Google. I started sharing a lot more because I was learning a lot more offline. And then I did some Coursera courses. I got certified in some courses free of charge. I started sharing this knowledge. It was all I wanted to do. If you look at my entire social media at that time, it was all I was tweeting about: how to use Facebook, how to use Twitter, how to do this, how to do that. And so people soon knew me not as in fact, before then, people didn't know me, to be very honest. But people soon knew me as the digital marketing and social media marketing person, the go-to person that would ask questions, and it was really interesting. It was one of the best times of my life because I was doing something that I loved in a much easier way. Because I love to do sales and marketing, but it was so hard and complicated. And now I got to do it lying down on my bed. I'm pressing my phone, and
I can relate, man.
yeah, it was cool. Life was easier by far. And so that's how I transitioned to digital media marketing and started getting jobs. I think at the time, somebody who was recruiting for Studio 24 was looking for a marketing manager for the Abusetu branch, and part of the criteria meant that the person needed to have, so I needed to have experience in digital marketing.
Digital marketing.
And so they hired me at once. I was working there. Salary was 450. I think life just improved. It became better. It just improved. To be very honest, I can't lie.
So
Yeah.
offering as a service, how do you land your first client? And how did that go?
I'm a salesperson. Okay, so the great part about digital marketing is the tools for the service is the tools that you use to do the marketing. And so if you're talking about digital marketing, you're talking about it online, you're talking about it on social media. So the same tools that you use to deploy the services, the same tools that you're deploying marketing for yourself. And maybe because I was talking about digital marketing a lot, people would reach out to me that, can you do this? Ized, can you create content for us? That's way before AI. We're creating content by hand. Can you create content for us? Can you push this marketing for us? And that's how I was doing digital on the side with my job. Now, here is where it gets interesting. One day I was on Twitter, and I watched a short video about surrogate parenting, people who were surrogate parents,
Yeah.
and how some women can't have children because they're not equipped biologically to have children.
Yeah.
But they produce eggs and they produce everything. So, like taking somebody's eggs and you are just the house for surrogates parenting. And then I just tweeted, I don't mind being a surrogate mom for somebody who wants to have a child. And then this couple reached out to me via DM, sent me a message and asked if I was serious. And it was a husband first, and then asked if I was serious about the statement. And I remember that I just tweeted it out of, how you're just tweeting. Then I started thinking, this is another business now, because it's like expanding your business. So I said yes, I was serious, and then it now became a thing where they were doing a background check on me, due diligence. And just before we signed, the guy reached out to me and said they wanted to do a background check on me, because part of the thing was that they would bring me outside the country. The whole I'll get pregnant here, but they wanted to have their baby outside the country. Everything was looking very interesting. And then the guy was talking to me and said they wanted to do a background check on me. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Then I got home and I said, let me even see what people will find online when they check my name. So I searched my name, Ized Uanikhehi, on Google. And it was the most depressing thing ever. There was nothing on my name except my social media profiles. There was nothing. It was almost like, how is it that this person who went through life competitive and wanting to be the best at everything that she was doing, and graduated biochemistry top of her class, and has all of this know-how and knowledge and skills and research, no book, no write-up, no,
Yeah.
I hadn't, it was almost like I hadn't done anything in my life. The only thing you saw on my social media search, or on my Google search, was my social media handles and all these links to family websites, the family name. It was nothing. It was almost like I had lived my life up until that moment as an extra. All these film extras where they are just sitting somewhere.
They're not passing by.
I never felt so depressed. It was the most depressing, frustrating thing. And it wasn't as if I was looking for the spotlight. It was just, I had graduated school for all that time. And you would hear your friend just wrote a book, your friend is doing this one is being called to be somebody, and there you were, side gigging, middleman. No, you were just making money to pay rent and school fees, and there was nothing else you were doing with your life. You were not this person. And so I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to start from scratch. This time I'm going to do it right. So I like to say I got a calling to come to Lagos. I hated Lagos at that time, so I just sold off all my things.
I don't think anybody really likes Lagos.
No, I doubt. I like it now, but I sold off all my
There's a reason why.
sold off all my things and just moved to Lagos to go and start again. But this time I was determined that in a few years, when you search my name, you'll be happy.
We're gonna see something.
You're gonna see something. You got to see something. A book I will write, even if it is I helped children cross the road. I wanted to do something with my life that sort of had a meaning, even if it was to find people. Or yeah. So that was my inspiration for coming to Lagos, starting from scratch, building a name for myself. I networked like crazy. I networked like I needed to know the people whose names were there. I needed to be friends with them. I needed to see what they were doing, how they were doing, and how I could be a part of what they were doing. I participated in things. I volunteered. I volunteered in everything. NGOs for stand to end rape, NGOs to clean Lagos. We would go on Saturdays and Sundays and clean canaries and gutters. I started my own Just Being It, and I wanted to be a part of something that made sense. Not to me, because that's what I've been doing for the past how many years at the time, but to other people. I wanted to contribute, and so I focused on doing that. I mean, the search is not bad now, but it can be better. So I'm in the UK now.
We see something now.
Yeah, it's not just Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook profile.
Of course, you see. First of all, there's a Wikipedia page, and then there are more.
There's a bit more. There's a bit more now. There's still so much to do. I just expanded my business into the UK. It's frustrating, a little bit frustrating, because It's almost like starting from ground zero again. But now I'm learning to redo the things that I did when I moved to Lagos. The networking is a bit better. Um, it's like getting a chance at life three times. The first one you didn't do well, the second one was a makeover. Now this one is better. So I'm shuttling between Nigeria, London, and the US, where we have the US office, the London office, the Nigerian office. Just trying to grow a business that makes sense, coming up with ideas. I'm building the ideas, not just leaving the ideas in your building the ideas and trying to ensure that at the end of the day, when they tell your story, they'll tell it well. Maybe one tear will drop down their eyes as they're telling you, Isaac lived. Isaac lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is inspiring now. We've never come to the end of the podcast.
Oh,
this
I was trying to
this
inspire. I
this
was telling my why. Yeah, my,
I know, but this is absolutely beautiful.
yeah.
So you moved to Lagos. How did you start? Like the business, getting clients, and all of that.
Lagos was hectic. But the good part is when you have tweeted enough on Twitter and on social media, and people know of you or they know about you, you've shown thought leadership. Started sharing how to's. If you want to do Facebook better, here's how to do it. I've done free courses. Like I said, I networked a lot. I would go for events, tech events, and I wouldn't just go for tech events and sit down at the back. I would go for tech events, sit down in front, learn, meet people, make sure I was networking, talk to people. I started a community of people like me who were trying to break into some space but didn't have access. We would talk about events, plan to go for these events. We would go, we would meet people, we would share details of what we learned, and then I started DigiClan community. So things I noticed about the digital space at the time was everybody knew something in silos. I know how to do SEO and I'm doing it for myself. I know how to do content and I'm doing it for myself. And then when they give you a job, and the job involves content, SEO, advertising. You know how to do content very well. You don't know how to do SEO and advertising, but you take the job and you now mess up. People will not say, digital marketing in Nigeria, they are not good. It's not that they are not good. You gave to somebody who was very good at doing one thing, but gave her or him a whole range of services. So we then decided
Exactly.
to set up DigiClan where we can learn from each other and collaborate. I know how to do content. You know how to do SEO. This one knows how to do advertising. Let's collaborate on this project.
Yeah.
And so that's how DigiClan was born and has now become the largest community of digital media marketers across Africa. But now DigiClan is in the UK and it's in the US. So it's no longer DigiClan Africa, it's now just DigiClan. And I utilized every opportunity that I had. I know that there's a process to this. There was step by step to it, but in the beginning it was hard. So I'm not going to tell anybody that when you just go, you start networking, things happen. In the beginning it was very hard, just like it is hard in the UK for me now, just networking and meeting people, seemingly starting from scratch. But then I remember that I've been through this before, and this is just phase two. I've been through this when I moved from Abuja to Lagos. So this is just the higher phase, and I know that it's easier for me to live through this phase because I know that this is just a stepping stone or a phase to going above this. And so networking, going around, talking to people, and these people know how to ignore you. In Nigeria, at least, when you see a group of people at an event talking and you go and introduce yourself, you can network, you can grab drinks. If you just see them talking and you just go, hey, they can just all turn around and continue this. Like, why would you?
Are you serious?
Why would you come to our meeting and start introducing you? Who wants to know you with your black face? So I started picking events that have like speed networking or some networking parts where they actually take time out to cut out a networking session. So I've been meeting people. I've been telling them what I do. I've been showcasing myself. I've been joining Nigerian groups or founder groups. Not just, so there's Nigerian founders, there's Building for Africa, there's the founders, Technation founders, because I came in Technation founders. So I've been joining these communities and meeting people And one by one, the jobs are trickling in, not as fast as I hope, but it's coming.
Beautiful. So you founded like different businesses already. Since then, you want to walk us through some of the businesses you started.
Can I count? Maybe six, seven, eight, maybe nine. I don't know, but I can start to list them. So when I moved to Lagos, I started Evolve Synergy, which was a digital media marketing outfit where we help
Okay.
businesses to do digital marketing and promote their campaigns on social media. Whilst I was doing Evolve, I saw an opportunity to start a cleaning company, which was an opportunity that I noticed a gap in the space that I noticed from one of the issues that I had. So I was talking to you about how over time I've trained myself to see the gaps and the spaces where there are
Yeah.
opportunities. Where
When you see these gaps and spaces, how do you just execute?
so yeah, let me give you an example with this gap. I was
Yeah.
working in the idea hub. Um, and the way I got into the idea hub was a bit funny. And so I used to leave very early from my house to go to Yaba to the hub. I used to close last. I used to close late. I think sometimes I used to work on Saturdays. So I think the only free time I had for myself was Sundays mostly, where I would stay at home the whole day. But I would go to church, come back, and then just cleaning up was just a lot. So one day I was on the phone with my friend, and I used to complain a lot about how you know I don't have a rest day because I use my rest day to do cleaning and washing up. And I was on the phone with him, and then he said that, oh, he has people cleaning his house right now. So I was like, wait, what? He said, yes, that he paid some people, they come every weekend to clean his house. I was like, oh, wow, that's an opportunity I can take advantage of. So I asked him if they can come and clean my house, and he said, yes, they'll come. And I was on Twitter that same day. It was I didn't go to church that day. I remember because I was just lying on my bed. I was talking to people, and I said, this cleaning company. This is an opportunity that I know a lot of people like me who are just starting out and trying to make ends meet and overworking themselves could use. So I immediately opened another account. I called it Clean It Synergy. It's still online. It's redundant. I call it cleaning synergy. Then it's not like now that you can alternate between accounts. You have to sign out of one account to sign into the other account. So I signed into the cleaning synergy account. I started creating tweets immediately. It was maybe between from the time he talked to the time I started creating tweets, it was like 20-25 minutes. And I started tweeting, if you need people to clean your houses, we got you. After an event, we got you. You are you so I started creating a series of threads of tweets, maybe about 12 or 15, and it was a new account. So I signed out, went to my account, and then I started retweeting all the tweets. I was like, these people are great. These people are good. We should work with them.
Nice.
One guy reached out to me, same Sunday, right? He was like, Ized, I was just going home now. I was just about to leave the church and go home when I saw your tweets. These synergy people, do you know them very well? I said, very, very well. As a matter of fact, we are very close. He said, yes, because I just realized that there's something we missed. We have a retreat at the stadium this coming week. We don't have cleaners on ground. Do you think it is something that they can do? I say yes. They will have people there as the retreat is going on. They'll be picking, they'll be cleaning, they'll make sure that because it's happening at stadium, it was happening at Surulere Stadium, the grounds of Surulere Stadium.
Yeah.
They'll make sure that the place is neat. They'll be cleaning the toilets. They'll be cleaning. They'll make sure. He said, how many people can come? I said, you can get up to 10 people. You can get up to 12 people, depending on what you want. He said, let me go back and talk to pastor. He went back, came, was like, how much? I sent him a bill. Came back again and said, I said, they no grill. They said, now 450, they go 450K, they go pay. I said, let me talk to them. Meanwhile, the them was myself.
We are the them.
I came back and I said, okay, they will take the 450. He now said, okay, send me an invoice. Quickly, bye. Don't create invoice. Send account first. Don't send out. He paid, I think they paid about 300 and something then. By then, the lady that was supposed to come from my friend's house to come and clean, she had come. I spoken to her. We had negotiated. We had agreed. I said, okay, I'll send you your own cut of the money on Monday so that you get the people. She brought them to the hub for me on Tuesday to see them. We talked, we discussed what they would do. Do you know I never went to the stadium once? And these people were there, they did their jobs, they were active, they got paid. I started a company on social media without buying one broom and getting paid.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think at the time I talked about it and then Tribune did the story on it. I don't know if it's still online, but I know that Tribune did the story on it. I have screenshots on my social media. And after that, it became a thing, right? People started saying, "Can you tell your people to come and clean my house?" It became a cleaning company. I didn't need to buy a broom. I didn't need to buy anything. I just leveraged on an opportunity a gap that I thought was available, and and people who would do it. It was me also being middleman, sort of, right? And it was called Cleaning Synergy. We never registered the company. We did it until it started to struggle between me and Evolve Synergy, and it was pulling
Yeah.
me in both ways. And I spoke to my friends, and they said I had to let it go because when you are telling people to go and clean another person's house, you are opening yourself up to my ring is missing, my wristwatch is missing, they didn't clean this place well. So you are answering more phone calls about cleaning than you are answering about the
Yeah.
business that you went to do in Lagos. So I had to pass it on to. There was a cleaner at the hub that used to help me clean too after then. So I passed it on to her. She said it didn't last long. I think she did run it for a year or a year and a half, and then she said, "This is a business that I ran for almost 2 years." She didn't. She couldn't carry it for very long, and so the business just phased out and died. So cleaning synergy, although not a registered business, was an opportunity. So there was cleaning synergy. Another opportunity that came, somebody gave us a campaign that it's not Ebola. What's this thing? Lassa fever. That there was Lassa fever in the north, and we're supposed to do a campaign to train people about how to protect themselves from rats and all these rodents and pests that carry Lassa fever, and what they needed to do, clean your surroundings. It was, I think it was a United Nations thing or some health organization that gave us the campaign to post about on social media. And then there was a news report that Lassa fever had entered into Lagos at the time. And I was like, oh, wait, this is an opportunity. So I started another business that we were fumigating houses against Lassa fever and rodents and pests.
Wow.
Then Lassa fever.
Wow.
And I bought the equipment. No, this time I didn't do that. I bought the equipment. I had 3 people. I posted on social media. A lot of people booked for the service, and I would send my people to go and fumigate against rodents and pests and whatever. And so that one went on because it wasn't a very problematic business. So it went on for a longer time where they were just fumigating. But once the scare of Lassa fever died, then I think that's about 7, 8 years ago. Once the scare died, people were not fumigating again. Fumigation went down. So that was a business that died. But we made a lot of money from that because a lot of people, especially in Lagos, they were fumigating against rats and pests and all of that. So that's 3. Also not registered, but it was a running business for a few. But you see, the core business, the Evolve Synergy, was staying throughout. And then there's this company, Indigo Area, who wanted to hire me. So they did some sort of acqui-hire where they hired all of us in Evolve.
Oh, okay.
Yes, paid me some money. So I called it an acqui-hire, but what they did was they upfront paid me money and then hired all my staff. So we were Evolve Synergy, then one day we were working for Indigo Area. I think her name is Itoha Balo. She was running campaigns for Union Bank and some other big brands at the time. And her core is graphic design, and so she wanted a company that would do the marketing for her. And so we just took over the marketing aspect and started doing that. So that was not my company, but I worked there.
Did it make you more money than when you were on your own?
It meant constant salary. When I was on my own, there will be months where things are not so, and then you
pay salary from your pocket.
yes, and you're paying like 9 people, 10 people, and then you're not paying yourself. So working with Itoha meant that I didn't have to work. I was still running things, But guess what? At the end of every month, I was still getting a salary. Everybody was getting a salary. Before that, my salary was never constant. It was dependent on what was
Yeah.
happening in a month. Today, 100K,
Mhm,
tomorrow,
mhm.
50K, 20, sometimes 400. But with it, too, my salary was constant and it was a good sum. So I didn't mind. And I felt like one of the things that I needed to go and learn was organizational or structure, because
Mm.
I came and started working for myself. I didn't know how to do structure. So it was important that I went to learn structure and processes, and I didn't have that. I knew how to do marketing, I knew how to do social media, but in terms of organizational structure and processes, I didn't have that. So um, working with her sort of gave me that. After Indigo, um, I went to CNN actually, totally random.
What's a CNN story?
So I left Indigo to go back to doing my own thing. I
Yeah.
left my people behind, which I didn't mind because I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, at least everybody's doing what they were doing. They are making money. They are. So I wanted to do private consulting and business consulting, and just be able to travel and move around. So that's how
Mhm.
I sort of transitioned away from Indigo. But we're still talking, and I was still working for her in quotes, where she would need my
Yeah.
service and I'll go and do it. And I used to talk a lot on social media and digital marketing. And this time I started getting invites to um, to different events and speak on marketing for this and social media marketing for this. And people had started to know me, and so I wanted to just be a private consultant where I could travel and do all of this. DigiClan was growing, DigiClan was getting bigger, and it was,
Mhm.
or the thought of starting DigiClan rather, we had just started maybe like 1 month, and the thought of growing DigiClan was in my plans, and I couldn't do that working from
Yeah.
home, because how do I travel to Ilorin to go and do a digital meetup, or Kaduna to go and do working for somebody? So that's why I went
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
career. My people were there, they were earning salary, so I wasn't so worried. And then one day I was posting online, and Stephanie reached out to me and said, Stephanie, sorry, she's the um, she
Okay.
heads the CNN bureau here in Africa. And she said that she's looking for a content writer, somebody like me. I still have the Facebook chat. Somebody like me who could do this. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, you want, I should recommend somebody like me. Nothing to me, auntie. Oh. She was like, no, 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 you're too busy. You're traveling. You're talking about it. I was like, I am busy myself these days. I am no longer busy for CNN. You don't want to make me to make my mother. Let her be say, oh, my daughter works in CNN. In fact,
Yeah.
my parents could not breathe. I think they were more excited about the job than me, because Stephanie asked me to send certain things, write ups, and all of that. She reviewed it and said, okay, I can start working. And I told my parents that, in fact, when I got to the office the first day, the logo, I took a picture and sent to my parents that I'm now working at CNN. You'd have thought this is the medicine that I disappointed my parents in, because they really wanted me to study medicine, and I ended up becoming a marketer and a salesperson. So me working at CNN, everybody heard. My father sent it to all his family, all his relations, everybody heard that I made something of myself after all. Because another thing that annoyed them about me was, when I was in Abuja, I was doing a good job. I was working well. I was earning money. Then I woke up one day and said there was no Google search of my name, and I was going to Lagos to go and start all over again. But just when we are starting to accept that maybe marketing isn't such a bad idea, because in the early stages of graduating, and I didn't go back to study medicine. My parents would call me and say, you say you're going to study medicine. Don't you want to be a doctor? Don't worry about the money. We will pay yourself. So they were disappointed when I insisted that I didn't want to do medicine. And so when I started to earn well and do well with marketing and social media marketing, they were happier. And then all of a sudden, I woke up one day and said, I'm going to Lagos. I'm not doing market. I'm not in Abuja again. I'm leaving the job. Like, what is wrong with this child? What is wrong with this child? How are you such a disappointment? And so I think the CNN thing was sort of like a validation. I think after that, my parents were like, they trust me to know what I wanted to do. So I was in CNN for a while, and my parents were very happy. But I had to leave at some point. Max Okada, I was intrigued by it because I just learned how to ride a bike. Chinedu Azulu came. We spoke, and he was telling me about what Max Okada was trying to do in Lagos or in Nigeria. What they're trying, and I was like, wow, this is the company I want to work with. And so I came to Max. Took a pay cut at first, but they made it up later, maybe after 3 months. I came to Max, and I just loved working there. So I was head of marketing, partnership, and growth of Max Okada, and it was, I really enjoyed working there. I really really enjoyed telling the stories of the Okada men, telling the stories of Max. The growth was phenomenal. Within the first, I told them that I was only going to work there for like 3 months or two because I wanted to travel, grow DigiClan. So they're like, okay. I ended up being there for like a year, and yes, but in the first 4 5 months, the growth was phenomenal. As a matter of fact, we started traveling because Max was doing race. So with Max, it was US, America, so US, South Africa, Dubai. I traveled with Max, just telling the story of Max, talking to investors, and so that was like really really interesting for me. I think after Max, I knew that I wanted to join the startup train. So after Max started Tora. Tora was the Okada Riders Academy, which was we're training Okada riders because the another opportunity.
How do you spot the opportunity for Torah? Yeah.
Yes, another opportunity I saw there was Max was raising money. At the time, we were looking at raising $7 million. Gokada had just come to the country with what $4 million. OPay was had just moved, and if we were reading the stories that time, OPay had just done a raise of $40 million for the OPay. So a significant amount of that was going to come to the bike and Okada part and in Nigeria. All of these companies. Then there was these people that ended up starting in Ibadan. I can't remember their name now. The orange used to wear orange shirts. All of that money coming to the two-wheel mobility sector to do to carry, I think it was Boda, Safe Boda, yeah, to carry people. Everybody was getting investment. Everybody was thinking about bikes. Nobody was actually thinking about who will ride the bike. Where do you want to see riders? Is it the malams on the streets that you want to train to come and be doing customer service? So that gap was definitely there. And so the Okada Riders Academy was started to convert unemployed graduates into two-wheel mobility riders. Here's why. Because what people don't know is at the time was that those Max riders, the Gokada riders, they were making as much as 150, 200 just riding bikes based on the sharing rates. It was kind of like the Uber share formula.
Yeah.
So the goal was to take unemployed graduates, people who are graduated polytechnics, whatever. I said, right now you don't have a job, but guess what? If I teach you how to ride on Okada, you can make at least 150, 200 if you are diligent. On top of that, you can speak better English. On top of that, you can learn customer care. You won't be dirty, you won't be smelling, you are the best kind of rider for this kind of company that was trying to formalize that sector. Instead of the informal riders and the malams, you can't train an old dog. I mean, you can, but some of them were too far gone. You will train them and say, pass one way. As soon as you give them the bike, as they are doing their U-turn, they are going to pass one way. So it was important that we trained the right people. So that's why we started Tora. Tora was the Okada Riders Academy, where we trained people to ride for free and deploy them to companies like Gokada, OPay. We didn't do Max at the time because Max was still angry with us that it was not something that we started. So, but we eventually came back to become, and we became friends again. So we also gave to delivery companies who wanted riders, and so it became we were selling shovels in a gold rush. We were hot cake. Like everybody wanted riders that were trained. We partnered with girls, these societies that that were helping women, and we said, you know what, let's train all these women to ride bikes and deploy them to um, riding companies, two mobility companies, and they can make 150, 200. So we spotted the opportunity. I and my partner at the time spotted the opportunity and said, this is something we wanted to do. And so I spotted the opportunity and sold it to them. They were like, okay, let's do this. And so we called it Torah because it was an acronym for the Okada Riders Academy, and built on that. It was going well. It was going very well. In fact, we had gotten funds. We had done an initial fundraising, seed round, and we were talking to investors on expanding our school, expand having like spots everywhere where we are doing trainings. We're about to close a seed round that would have changed my life, and then they banned the Okada. I don't even know what is doing. They banned Okadas in Lagos. At first, we're like, it won't affect us so much. Don't worry, we'll got this. We'll train delivery riders. But you see, the problem was the people who were riding Okadas before now became delivery riders. They were going to these delivery companies to ride the bike. So nobody wanted to pay us when they could get their riders directly. And we went from request of 400, 150 riders to one. And our subscription fee to use our riders was 10,000 naira a month. So if you are giving out one rider a month, you are only making 10,000 naira a month. How are you paying salaries and all of that? So we had to close. And but we did a quick pivot. So we're thinking about, we need to close, we need to shut down. And I was like, can't we train other people? Can't we train the Okada riders? Luckily, we didn't call the name the Okada, we said Torah. Can we train other subset of people? Then we said, okay, we just started giving banks their POS licenses. Can we train POS agents? So we started to approach banks, and that's when I approached VBank. That okay, we can train POS agents for you, we can hire and train them for you, but they wanted me to do something different for them, marketing full time. So we kind of, as Torah was shutting down and I was looking for opportunities for most of my people, we went to VBank and started an agency, a marketing agency, because they were launching into the markets and they wanted me to handle their marketing. And they then decided to make it a full-on investment where they invested a lot of money into us. But they already had a registered company called News Media, and so we just got into the so from Torah to News Media. It looked almost seamless, but on the inside there was a lot of structure and reprocessing and all of that. And because Torah was shutting down, I was losing a lot of my people, but the ones that I could save and give jobs to at News Media, we did. So the transition to News Media. And then
so
happened.
Looking at your story, right? You're somebody that just has a lot of guts. That's what I see.
I'm kind of like,
How did you even approach VBank? What was in your mind when you
so with VBank, right? I knew the MD of VBank because when I was head of growth at Max Okada, we needed to fund bikes for people. And so I approached VBank rather. I approached Zubi at the time. He was the MD at the time. And VBank gave us this asset financing where they gave Max where they financed 1,000 bikes for the people who wanted to ride on Max Okada but didn't have bikes. So they financed 1,000 bikes, and these people were doing the pay monthly or pay small, where Max was taking out of their money to pay VBank, and it was so that whole conversation. I met the MD of VBank. So when we were looking for a transition, I reached out to the people that I knew, and so I reached out to him, and it was like, "Can you come to the office?" But it's not about POS agents; it's about we're about to do a launch. And so when I went to VBank, I then met the group MD, who then we talked. We started working together. I started creating strategies and plans, and he was impressed. And I was like, I would really like to invest because I think that you guys are good, as opposed to just doing VBank. We think this service that you are offering can be something that we will give out to a lot of people. So that's how News Media started. News Media
Beautiful.
ended.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah.
end per se. I left News Media
Okay.
more so because VBank was a bit restrictive, um, in the sense that I had taken on too much investment, and so I had too little equity in news media, and so I didn't have say so or control of what I needed to do and how I needed to be done. And
And that's not a very good
no,
starting
that's not a
point.
very good place to be. So I resigned, and then I started ZI, which is which is
It's just Isaac flip it.
so we're trying to register a name, and we're trying to act fast, and we were coming up with different names. And I said, "What was ZI?" And because we wanted to do a registration to go and get some, I can't remember what it was we needed to get a job. I think we needed to go and get a job. They said, send your CAC, send your papers. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do ZI first. We can always come up with another name. But when I asked what was ZI, they were like, yeah, ZI is good. Because we had sent two or three names and they had rejected it. They said, so I was like, let's try ZI. And ZI went at once. So it was ZI Limited. The plan was we would change it. In fact, I had this idea, this great name that I wanted to put there. I was like, okay, we'll change it. But when we started building a brand around it, my people were like, no, we like the name, it's fine. It doesn't have to be your name. It's like Jedi, Star Wars, it's like the marketing force. And so that was it. When I resigned from news media, a lot of my people also resigned with me, and then we started ZI together. So it was like, okay, I'm listening to you people who are using ZI, so that's how I started.
Interesting.
And ZI had
So,
until now.
yeah, yeah. So I was going to ask, like, what uh, what's the most significant risk you've taken in your career, and how did it pay off? But right now, having this conversation, I've seen like a lot of risks you've taken. So, but to you, though, what would be the most significant risk you've taken in your career?
Starting over. I'm I like to think that I'm not a fan of starting over. But I realize that too many people hold on to their mistakes because they spent a lot of time making it. They've invested a lot of time and energy making the mistakes, so they hold on to it and see how it will work. I would rather stop it and start again, as hard as it is and as painful as it is, but beyond pain, as scary as it is, to be in a certain state and a certain place. For example, news media was paying me well. My salary was millions, and that this was me walking away scared to go and start my own thing. I think starting over as many times as I've started, but I'm done. I've resigned. God, I've resigned from starting an office. It's too much for my soul. But starting over as many times as I've needed to, and as many times as I've started,
Mhm.
is a risk in itself, because it's hard and it's tough to be at a certain stage in your life, and then you're starting from ground zero again. Um, but it's a risk that pays off, especially if you know what to do, because now you're not starting from the bottom, you're starting from experience. You know what it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
to do, you
yeah.
know what to do, you know how to do it. And so starting over is a risk that I've taken that has paid off a couple of times. Um, um, I think that for me, just like my surname suggests, I'm reaching people. And
Hmm.
people being around me, not just my family, the people that I work with. I've worked with some people for over, you see, these series of companies that I've talked about from Evolve Synergy. I have my friend Mobola, she's also a head of marketing at ZI, has gone with me through this series of companies that,
Wow.
yes, so she was with Evolve. When I was leaving Indigo area, she went to join another company. As soon as I went back to start on my own, she came back to join. So it's been, I've had people with me for a long amount of time. They trust, I don't know, I don't trust their judgment, by the way, but they do trust in my leadership. They trust in my looking out for them, in the
Yeah.
ideas that I come with. So if I give an idea, people are like, okay, let's run with it. This thing will work. We have I'm open to, oh, I said no, we can't do this. I'm open to feedback from my people. I'm open to criticism from my people, as hard as it is. So if you come to the office and hear all these conversations, you will wonder whether I'm the boss. But there's still the respect. But my people will say no, they'll put their foot down. We can't do this. But also when I insist, they will know that I've seen something in it and they are ready to run with me to the end. So I don't know whether it's my surname or I'm just lucky, but I am very rich in people. So that's something I've always had. Again, another thing, like I said, I've always had is being able to see opportunities in the gaps, and so that has made us
Yeah.
make money over time. So we can be ZI, and I see, oh, this gap here, and I think that if we do research and we do market insight and find out it's an opportunity that we can plug, let's go ahead and plug it. Before initially we didn't used to do market research or insights into plugging gaps, but now we're very open to researching this because there's a gap here. What can we do to fill that gap, and how can we make money from it? So over time, we've made considerable sum of money, and that we've put back into the business, and it keeps growing. We just launched a platform called Send Mercury. What Send
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
I
what
was going to ask you
Send
about that.
does
That's like your latest bit.
Yes, what Send Mercury does is it aggregates um, e-commerce platforms for vendors. Right now, if you wanted to sell on Amazon, Shopify, um, Alibaba, all these e-commerce sites, you have to open multiple
Yeah.
stores. You have to manage multiple stores. You have to know when the inventory is finished. And you have to follow up. You can't keep up; it's too much. But however, if you use Send Mercury, you're using one platform, you're clicking, I want this store, this store, this store, this store. Automatically, your goods are uploaded on those stores. You can check your inventory. You can say, okay, I'm selling these shoes. I don't know whether Indian people will like it. Can I pick two e-commerce stores in the Indian market and see if people will buy it there? So you can test new markets before you launch. Let me see if people will buy it in India. If they like it, I will do more. I will try to enter the Indian market physically. Do you think China people will like this shirt or this dress that I'm selling? Let me sell on Alibaba. Let me sell in the e-commerce stores in that region. If people buy it, then there's an opportunity there that I can sell it. And so we've given that access for instead of just going to physically test the market, we can test the market with e-commerce platforms and even do your ads to tell people if they want to buy your, they should go to Amazon or they should go to Shopify to go and buy your goods and items without you physically being present there. On Send Mercury, you can open a digital store. You have a course that you want to sell now. Instead of just selling on Seller or any of these other platforms, these affiliate marketing platforms, you sell on 8, 10, 15 platforms. Let's say you're even doing affiliate marketing. You take the commission. Instead of opening one store, you can come to Send Mercury and open and sell in the different 50, 30 stores and increase your chances of making more commissions because now you're doing high ticket items on a variety of stores. So you don't have to depend on getting your, you don't have to put it on Shopify and be waiting for sales to come or put it on one store in Amazon and waiting for sales to come. Now with Send Mercury, you can do multiple stores from a single dashboard.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've worked with a lot of companies and stuff, big agencies, big outfits like CNN. What key skills would you say you've developed from working in those places that are helping you with what you do now?
I think that being able to network is one. So let me say something that I tell people that I mentor is when you work in an organization, and I learned this from Pastor Godwin in Abuja. When you work in an organization, right, you get three things. You get network, you get salary, you get experience. When you leave the organization, the only thing that you leave behind is the salary. Your network and you take your experience with you. So when you work in any organization, whether you're happy or you're not happy or you're doing it temporary or this is full-time gig for you, ensure that you're not only collecting salary, you're building your network and you're building your experience. You are learning from other people. So I can be a content writer in an organization and I'm learning from the person who is doing operations and talking to the bike riders. Like with Max, I wanted to be a key part of every bit of the company. The people who are doing deliveries for Konga, because Max is doing deliveries for Jumia, Konga, I wanted to know what how their job experience was, what they were doing, and so it has helped me with other aspects of other businesses that I've done. So ensure that you're building your experience, ensure that you're building your network, and it's not just the salary that you're collecting. And so one of the key things I've learned going into any organization is the things that I take away from there, the people that I met and can work with subsequently, and then the experiences that I've gotten. Because somehow experience always comes to play later where you will need an experience for something that you thought, oh, I don't need this experience. Then somebody will ask a question and then you have this skill that gives you the job because not just you're not just a content writer, you're a content writer who then knows additional things that you should know, or you're not just a lawyer, you're a lawyer who then knows additional things that you shouldn't ordinarily know. So being able to work in certain organizations and meet certain people and learn from them is one of the key things that I've taken away from working with organizations, big or small, campaigns, big or small. We've run campaigns for banks, like Fortune 500 companies. We run campaigns for international organizations. Sometimes the money is small, sometimes the money is right. But what I've taken from that is how can I network with this person? What kind of opportunity or partnership or business can I build with this person later? If I want to run a campaign for ZI, where does this person come in? Can they introduce me to another person? Can I plan an event and invite this organization to come and sponsor or to be a part of it? And so, wherever it is that I work, I like to take network and experience from that, not just salary.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, what's your approach to networking, and how do you cultivate these relationships?
Mommy! I go there and shake their head until they know, like, this is Ized. No, actually, no. I'm quite timid though, to be honest. I hate I hate going out to just talk to people from the scratch and try to see if they can be your friend or something. I don't know, it's hard. But I think that when you understand that it's not money that will make you, it's people that will make you. Um, it's never money. People always think, oh, if I have money, it's not money. It has never been money. Because you can be at your brokest and still be living a good life because you know the right people at the right time. So
True, true.
things that will open doors for you are people calling your names in certain rooms and people referring you at certain points. And so it's never money that will make you, it's people. And so I view networking as a very important thing in business, and not just in business, in life, because um, without networking, how do you expand your scope? How do you expand your reach? How do you get better? Who do you learn from? Who do you shadow mentor? Or who are your shadow mentors if you don't network?
Yeah.
Networking is critical, and so I approach it as I approach it as a very important part of my life and of my career and of my business. So when I go to events, so for example, when I came to the UK, I didn't know a lot of people in the field that I wanted to be in. So I went on Eventbrite, looked at the events that had some of them paid, some of them free, but I started mostly with the free ones. Look at the event that had the speakers that I think that I should know, the events that were in my industry, the events that were in my field, and then I signed up for these events. I paid for the ones that I wanted to pay for, dressed good on days of the event, went there without knowing anybody, started to talk to one or two people, um, do the networking sessions that they have, introduce myself,
Yeah.
and now I'm building it's not 5 people, but one of them just referred me to somebody for a job. So it gets bigger. So after networking with people, I tend to call them or send them emails. I look at what they have, the fields they're in. I offer whatever valuable advice or tips that I think that I can offer. If I see something that is in their field and I think it's a great opportunity for them, I share it with them. So
Yeah. So my next question would be, as somebody that has like founded multiple businesses, worked in different organizations and all of that, what are like the most important skill sets or traits you look out for when you are about to add a new member to your team? That's when you're hiring.
culture fits. Culture fits because um, I've seen where you people hire very smart assholes. Sorry, I should probably rephrase that for the podcast. But where people hire smart, is it a nicer, more
Douchebags.
word? No, but even douchebag is not a podcast friendly word. Anyway, what he said, I didn't say it. But and then these people are smart. But I've seen where I have amazing people on my team. I don't even know. I think it's my co-founder because she's also head of people, by the way. But I have recommended quite a few to her, and it has been the most amazing family ever. Because we try not to say family because startups abuse that word family, where they say
Sure.
we're a family, and then they walk into your boat to as if they used to kill their family members. But I would say hire for culture fit. You know the kind of culture that you're building, you know the kind of team culture that you would rather have, you know the kind of camaraderie you want your team to have. And um, I think that if you're patient enough, you can find somebody who's both smart and fit into your work culture and how your style of working. Now, not everybody will be the same. Some people will be quiet, some people will be noisemakers, some people will be friendly, some people will be not so friendly. But if everybody has the same culture in terms of attitude and the way they are driven towards meeting your company goals, then hire them. That's what I say. I've never seen the CV of anybody that works with them. In fact, I randomly find out what they do, what they studied in school. So one day I was saying, I studied biochemistry and I'm working in an agency, and I found out that 4 people in my organization studied biochemistry and they're all working there. I was like, what is going on with biochemistry? Is the route from biochemistry to agency?
Marketing.
But I don't want to see your CV. I just want to know: are you smart? Do you know do you know how to do what you say you know how to do? And
Mhm.
are you willing to go all the way? I hate excuses. I hate excuses. I rather people come back to me and say, I said this assignment that you gave to me, what you gave me to do the assignment was not enough, so I needed to do this to get the assignment done. So I said you owe me an additional 100,000, and to come back and say the money was not enough, so I didn't do it. Oh, I found out I didn't pay. So I hate excuses. So I like driven people, people who work towards a common goal, people who are empathetic. Because if you're working in an agency, if you're working in a marketing agency and you're not empathetic towards the founders that you're marketing for, you will just do anyhow. Because when people come to you and say, market my business, you're almost like their last resort. They've gathered money
Yeah.
that they should use to eat to say, ZI, go and use it to do marketing for me. And if you don't think of the founder first or the startup first, and you are not committed to ensuring that the startup grows, or more, you shouldn't be working in an agency. So I like empathetic people. I like I already said driven. I said driven again. Driven like 4 times. Committed people, smart people, people who think of others. That's still empathy. Kind people. Again, culture. Our culture is kind, empathetic. I think one of the things that we need to work on a little bit more is communicating more. So communication, empathy, kind people, driven, committed. I love this kind of people. Whether they are Gen Zs or they are millennials, I don't care. But as long as they are all driven towards a common goal, I like it. Or even better, you can use Hire Foster by ZI to do your hiring. If you use Hire Foster to do your hiring, the way we've done our test is the way we've done our test on this Hire Foster platform is we ensure that you're hiring not just smart people, but you're also hiring for culture fits. We do psychometric analysis. We understand the culture of your business and ensure that we're doing a proper fit culture fit, smart fit with your business goals. So use Hire for Star by ZI.
I have to start by Zedai.
It's www.hirefoster.com, by the way. Hire Foster,
Okay.
HIRFOSTER.com.
If you're watching this and you want to use that service, there's going to be a link in the description of this video, so you will check that out.
Okay.
Okay. Finally, Ized, the story, your journey. Right now you pretty much look like you have everything figured out. I start asking my guests this question recently. So I see two people on the podcast. They are, dishing out entrepreneurship stuff and all of that. This could have figured out. But I'll ask you a question, and this is like a personal question. What are you still trying to figure out right now?
A lot. A lot. I woke up this morning wondering if there's also something about being a CEO where you ask too much of your people. So I woke up this morning wondering if I am deserving of the quality of people that I have in my team. So there's also the what do you call it, imposter syndrome that comes from time to time. I think I'm getting better at it because I have a backlog and catalog of evidence that the evidence show, and I know the shit. I know it is with my chest, and then sometimes I look at people my age who started on time, and I see them being like heading international organizations, and they're doing good, and they're speaking. I'm like, oh my God, where? But I understand that all of us have different journeys, and whilst mine might be late in quotes, it's been a great journey so far. So I'm always late. What my mates did 10 years ago, I end up doing afterwards, and it's quite frustrating. Like, I just got married last year. Can you imagine? I just got married last year when I've attended the weddings of all my mates since 13, 14 years ago. So I've learned that my timing or my time is not anybody's time. It's quite frustrating in the beginning when it seems everybody is doing what they should be doing earlier than you or faster than you, and you're playing catch up. But I've learned that we have different timings, and learning to love my journey as much, because right now, I don't know. This is an entrepreneurship podcast, so I don't know if this is a thing to say. And I think that as much as it is that I'm married late, I think that I'm actually enjoying the benefits of marriage right now. Yeah, I'm sure the people that married 13 years ago, I don't know if they're still enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying it right now. But we are keeping this PG-18 and focusing on entrepreneurship. But people's journeys are different, and
True.
And I try not to stay focused on how late I am. But the funny thing is, 14 years ago, or 15 years ago, I wrote a note on Facebook. It's still there because one of these Facebook reminders brought it up recently, where I wrote, "I'm late again." I think I started realizing that I do my own things late since forever. So I'm used to that now, not doing things at the time that people are doing it. But at the end of the day, it's almost like my journey escalates.
Beautiful. This has been like a very
Long,
successful podcast.
interesting
Listen,
conversation.
it's long, but it's very interesting, and I like that. From what I told you in the beginning, it was not like a professional interview, so the conversation was really good. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
On the whole back.
almost issues.
Sorry, Kene. Thank you very much. Please
Thank you for having
subscribe
me.
to this channel.
Say,
Tell them to subscribe to the channel.
you guys know what you have to do. Subscribe to the channel and follow across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm sure they are dropping the link right
There's going to be a link in the description. Okay,
yeah, so
so
please,
Ized
I don't know when I
socials
up
and all
or
of that.
down, but subscribe to the channel. Ensure that you follow me. I didn't talk for 1 hour plus so that you will not follow me. So it's
For you not to follow her, are
yes.
you
I'm
whining
sure
her?
they'll put my handle somewhere on the screen. So follow me on Twitter and
Oh, of
Instagram.
course,
And I
of
will
course.
see you. And you can ask me any question that you want to ask me. I will try my best to answer.
Beautiful. So, guys, if you have any question at all, leave a question in the description. Tag Isaac on Twitter. Say, oh, I watched this podcast. I have this question and all of that. I should be more than happy to answer.
I will. I will.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you again next week in another episode. You have a lovely evening ahead. Bye bye.
Bye.